Yo, 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 yo. Y'all know what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's the Latinos Out Loud podcast. Hi, I'm Rachel La Loca. You may know me, you may not. Get to know me. It's fun. This is so exciting, you guys. Eloeleros, sit down, stand up, push a vacuum, drive your car, whatever you're doing, but do listen, okay? That's what you came here for, right? I mean, it is a podcast for crying out loud. And Latinos out loud, but we're not crying tonight. No, we are not. We are not. We are laughing. We are so excited because we have director of Aristotle and Dante Discover Secrets of the Universe. Aitch Alberto is next to me right now. How do I contain this excitement? Somebody strap me in this chair with a belt, please.
I love you. Thank you so much for having me.
I love you too.
We might cry though.
Yeah, we might cry. There might be tears of.
Taurus, double Cancer. I'm super emotional.
Oh, I'm a Leo.
Oh, okay, my mom's a Leo.
I love my emotions because they come pouring out of my pores. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and today I'm not wearing sleeves, so you're going to be able to see every single emotion. H, thank you for coming here. Thank you for just being you, first of all, but like for coming here on the Latinos Out Loud podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for being you and for creating this space for us. I'm proud of you.
You are. Thank you so much. I love hearing that. I do. I'm proud as well, and I'm very proud of you. Pero you have a full day of press ahead of you. We have a lot to talk about. We've been talking since you got here, just about so many amazing and colorful topics. This is gonna get really real, y'all. That's why I was like, I gave you the warning. Don't say I didn't warn you, LOLeros. I love you guys so much that I'll always lead you in the right direction and give you the heads up if you need to like busca una caja de Kleenex or something. You know what I mean? You might have to. So Aristotle and Dante. So I've heard some really fun little anecdotes and stories, and I've read some articles about you, and I'm fascinated. I want to just start about like this project came about. You read the book, you wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
Then maybe I shouldn't like give away the story. We should hear it in your words.
No, I would love for you to say. I've said it so many times. I'd rather you tell me the story.
Well, this is what I heard, okay?
Tell me what you heard.
What I heard. What happened was I heard that you wrote the screenplay, like, you know, just because you wanted to.
Yes.
Because you read this book that inspired you and whatnot.
Facts.
And you presented it to the author. And right away, author was like, yo, you want the rights? Bah! You got the rights to this screenplay. And now the rest, there's more that I could say, but I think we should pause there and talk about that series of events. When did you read this book? What did you feel after reading this book?
I read the book in 2014, so it's been a long journey. And then I wrote the author, his name is Ben, in 2016, and I went and I spent 4 days with him. And what inspired me so much is that I felt like it handled Latinidad in a way that we haven't seen before. And I think our community is desperate for another option to see ourselves in a different light, especially when it comes to these stories and it's like handling the other or like a queer child. Like we always see the disapproving dad or the disapproving mom. And this story sort of like gives us another option to that. It spins that on its head in a really gentle and beautiful way. And I think our stories are often told by other people, so they're so distilled to one aspect of who we are. Yeah. And that's not true for me and the way I live my life and the people that I love. So all of that to say that the book I felt was like a perfect mirror to all of those things. So I was like, I need to get this done some way. At the time, I had just done a bunch of short films. Yes. I was acting. Like I really had no business sort of being like, ambitious.
That is such an interesting notion. Okay. That's okay.
No, you're good.
Thanks. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Mike, this is Aitch Alberto. Aitch Alberto, this is Mike Success.
Hi.
Owner and operator of this joint, this
Thank
whole
you
thing.
for having us.
Yeah. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good to see you. This is crazy. Sit back, relax, enjoy. This is amazing right here.
Can I hide it back here?
Okay, I gotta find where I was. Okay.
The interesting notion.
Yeah. So this is an interesting notion. LOLeros, you ever get that juicy feeling when you read something or watch something that's like, I see me, and maybe it's an iteration of you, but you connect. So it sounds like you connected with this novel written for young adults
Yeah.
about two young queer Mexicanos.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What was the
Yeah.
connection that you felt? And
It's these two young boys who are on a journey of self-discovery, which is how I like to talk about it. Because I think it's like very limiting and niching to sort of put them in a box of sexuality,
yeah,
right? And I think it often happens in share. Like there is like queer themes, but I'm like my whole goal is to redefine the way we talk about the other, how we talk about ourselves. Like I could fit into so many boxes, and it happens often. Like, oh, trans director, and it's like, no, I'm a director.
beyond like a trans director.
Like that's like this.
Right.
That my transness plays this much of my life, and if that's how we affect change, right? Is we've evolved language, and like I need to be spoken about like a director and not distilled to one aspect of who I am.
Put some respect on my name.
Facts.
Sundance Film Lab. Check the IMDb real quick, okay? Working with the
Because I am,
greats.
like I am, but we don't need to like, I don't know. It's just like, for me, I'm so much more than that, you know?
I want to quote you real quick because it has to do with this conversation. So you were quoted in a Teen Vogue interview, and H said, I really wanted to make something that was nuanced, that wasn't rooted in what we often see when it comes to Latin stories and queer stories. Let's think about that for a sec, which was the notion that I wanted to harp on real quick. What do we often see? We see these bland, vanilla stories that are like, when I see them, like, this is fictitious shit, yo. This is not what my family looks like. This is not what my half Russian and Dominican family acts like, looks like, and we're pretty Latino. I mean, you know, we're Latino as fuck. You come to our crib and find out. The pernil is cooking, and yeah, we might have a menorah lit for the holidays. You know, that's what I go through. So I would love for you to elaborate on that a little bit. So what are the stories, or tell us about some of the stories that you want to see and that maybe you're writing?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm working on all of that. And like, those are the nuances of your family, right? So this is what I'm talking about, like distilling to one aspect of it. It's so easy to be like, oh, she's Dominican from New York, and that's all we talk about. But there's so much that informs who you are. And like, that's what I want to focus on. Those are the stories that I want to tell. Like, how do the things around us influence how we move in the world? And that's what I thought this story did in such a beautiful way. And so I wanted to celebrate that. So that, yeah, like everything I'm writing, I want to see like a love story between a trans woman and a man in a way that it's not about the identity. It's about just love. How does love transcend? And that's how, when people see this is how you re-educate an audience, because a lot of the phobia that exists is because of media, and we work in a really powerful.
Right, because we're programmed to like think that that's what we're supposed to look like and act
Exactly.
like, and that's how a Latino family acts. It's like, who are you? I don't know what family or where this focus group of Latino families is that acts like this.
Well, it's a bunch of white people that like we're greenlighting stories and writing stories about us, and that's why there's this like a lot of work that we have to do to sort of like redefine that.
Speaking of work, we sort of left like mid-story here.
I
So
know,
you
sorry.
spent time with, oh no, sorry, no. This is like, we can expand. The team is here, right? We are here for the storytelling right now. Okay, so you spent time with the author.
Yes.
This person that you did not know, that you
No.
just cold outreached to.
Yes.
How was that received? And tell us about the time you spent together. What did you learn? What did you do?
It was like fully immersing into the world of the book, into the world of the characters. I had never been to El Paso. I'm not Mexican American. So there was like a lot of things that I wanted to understand. And there's a lot of differences between our cultures, right? But I wanted to focus on what unites us. Because I think we divide ourselves so much.
Yes.
And that's love. So like that's what I was trying to like focus on. But I learned that through immersing myself in that culture for like 4 days. I kept revisiting too through the process because it was so long. I just really wanted to make sure that I was honoring the people of El Paso, the Mexican culture, and that I wasn't taking that for granted. So I was received with so much love, and then like I wanted that to be reflected back to them.
That's lovely. So I would also like to ask you about this 9-year process. Wait, I hope I'm not like, bringing up any
Trigger.
Right, no triggers here. But we can talk about them if you like. We can unpack them here.
I've had 9 years to unpack them, but they're there. Yes, of course, there's tons of triggers. It wasn't easy.
We talk about this process a lot, the creative process. It's so unique. It's like the birth stories, right? Like we see on TV, like how children are born. It's like, all right, doctor, push, oh, it's a baby. That's not how it happened for me. And I had 2 of them joints. You know what I'm saying? Like they were both cut out of my gut. It's C-sections. Listen, don't sleep on C-sections. They're not so bad. We'll do a whole episode about it. But, like we see the birth stories of like what that's supposed to look like, right? And that's not really how it happened. So I want to tie back to this. Oh God, even I'm getting on this train. 9 years. We talk about the creative process. Some of the heroes that we've spoken about on the show or have had on the show, like John Leguizamo, his process, those one-man shows take like a decade. People think that it's like overnight. Yeah, like, no, the brilliance takes time and research and development and funding and people. And I'd like for you to talk to us about that 9-year process. Walk us through the timeline maybe, and what were the series of events that led to the movie coming out today?
How exciting.
Oh my God, the film's coming out today.
It's a little
and you're
surreal.
Here. Oh my God.
It's weird. It's all, because it's been so long. But it started with me loving the book, going to him saying like, yes, you could go ahead and have the rights. Yeah. And then I was like, what do I do now? Because I literally didn't know how the business worked from this perspective, right? So I had done a couple of short films. So I was reaching out to film festivals that I had shown films at. I was like, do you know any producers that might be interested? And then one of them, Outfast, introduced me to this woman named Valerie Stadler. This was a year after I had met with the author, for context. And she really came in and started helping me develop the script and just like kind of guiding the process of like what we needed to do next. Through that process, I found out how popular the book was. It had been translated into a bunch of different languages from all over the world. So all of those things make it, I thought, a valuable piece of IP. But it's a story about brown people. So then when we're trying to sell this as like an idea, Hollywood balked at it. They didn't see the value in it. It wasn't worth it. There's not been many like proven, sort of like economically proven Latino projects,
Those case studies that they bank on in Hollywood. And
it's a business.
Like, well, it sounds like, and this made this at the box office.
Yes. So it made it really hard to find someone that would fund it. And then I was like, well, we need to get Lin-Manuel Miranda involved. Because he had done the audiobook to it.
Former guest of the Latinos Out Loud podcast.
Yes,
check out that 100th
dope.
episode. Shameless plug. And now we're back.
Yeah, he's cool. I like him.
Cool AF.
So I was like, we need to get him involved in some capacity. We tried the traditional route. Nothing came of it.
Wait, what's the traditional route?
Like
Did you knock on his door? Like
and agents. And I was like, nothing about this process has been traditional. I'm going to tweet at him. I'm sure you know this from your research. But I sent him a tweet, and he replied 20 minutes later. And then 3 months later, he was in LA agreeing to be a producer on the film.
Oh, my gosh. Did y'all hear that?
Yes. That's magic. Sort of changing. It's magic. It's all like these little kismet things that happen.
Deservedly so, though.
But it shows how we need to help each other. And that's what he was doing. So that sort of validated me, and then my career started to take off. I started writing for television. I did the Sundance Lab. So then I became more valuable. Then people started to pay attention. I met with Eva Longoria because she was finding a new writer to rewrite Flaming Hot. And we fell in love with each other. So it's just like finding what I like to call them, the Latinx mafia, to sort of like make it an undeniable property. And that's it. It was just like putting the pieces together. And then finally someone gave us a couple of $1 million to make it.
The Latinx mafia. They're like the Latinx entertainment mafia, right?
Yes.
And un buen sentido. It's not like, mafia like, hey, we're going to find them at the bottom of the river. Not like that, but like in a good way. They are our superheroes. They're the ones that are like lifting up these projects and elevating them and watching them rise like, like a Dominican cake in the oven. So I just want to talk about that process. I mean, we started talking about it. So Lynn, the tweet, Eva, you sat down, and then what's the writer's room like? What's the structure like? How?
So that's all me, because it's like when you're in features, it's different than TV.
Your first feature film, right?
My first feature film with like an actual budget.
Oh my God. Please, okay, so were you pitching? Were you in there trying to convince people?
Yes.
What's that like?
But we had other directors through the process. There was other financiers, but I always knew it was my story to tell.
Yeah.
Like I always knew all those false starts. So time was like the most difficult thing and challenge, but it was also a blessing because it sort of like allowed me space to evolve, not only as a human being, but like within the industry.
It's incredible. And I would like to just talk about the directing process. We're talking a lot about writing here.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about some of the talent in the
I
film.
forgot that I can't talk about writing.
Oh.
Because of the strike, but that's all good.
And we have to get to there too.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get there now, actually.
Whatever you want.
Because we'll get to the relationships, and I want to talk about the on-set vibe. I like delving into that. We get granular here because there has to have been all these moments of like funny moments or like script moments, script change moments. Like I want to hear about those instances. But maybe we should talk about the strike first. This is a really sensitive time, still. The writer's strike is still happening. So as I've asked other guests on this show, tell the LOLeros and I about how the strike has affected you. What are some proactive things you're doing? Are you standing in solidarity? If so, how?
Yeah, of course I'm standing in solidarity.
Of course,
There's an absolute necessity for it. It is really difficult though. Like we're in a business that's really fickle, and like I rely on the opportunity to be in a writer's room or to write on a project. So I'm trying to veer into the animation space because that's not under the WGA. So just finding other creative ways to kind of keep writing. But financially, it's hard.
Yeah.
And no one also talks about that. Like they see, like the premieres and the fans. But like we need to work. That's how we make money. And like that's not happening right now. And this whole like press tour that I've been on has been really difficult because I've been the only one that's like able to talk about the movie and able to do press. So I'm tired.
Wow. Yeah, we've had a slew of cancellations on Latinos Out Loud, amazing friends and actors and comedians. And this podcast has been standing in solidarity with the strike. We're trying to inform the LOLeros of what's going on. And I love the POVs that are coming on the show to talk about how it's affecting everybody.
It is.
I think in the world.
But also in the industry too, because it's like it affects the executives because they meet with writers and they're trying to find stories. They're being let go. So it's like the restructuring of what's happening is kind of scary.
Yeah, we also don't want to do anything wrong here. We want to make the right decisions and still support the projects that we've put blood, sweat, and tears and 9 years into. Blood, sweat, tears, and 9 years. Somebody put that on a T-shirt. God damn it. Okay, thank you for sharing about the strike and how it's affected you. Now let's talk about some on-set experiences. Tell me what it's like working with Eugenio Derbez, one of the icons in the Latin comedy space, you guys. Shout out to Trepa Studios, all of our friends over there that have been just like helping us and elevate the talent and the projects. Give us some fun stories.
He's incredible. When they brought me the idea of Eugenio being Ari's dad in the film, and I was like, really? Like Eugenio?
Really?
It didn't make sense to me at first. But then I went back and I started watching a lot of his work, and I was like, I get it. Like his eyes are so expressive. There's so much in his eyes. And then I was like, I'm up for the challenge of like grounding him and showing him in a way that we haven't often seen him. And he just showed up so willing and trusting me, and we like really communicated and we really talked. And his physical transformation that you see in the film is all him. Ooh. So it's just like really trusting each other and giving each other permission. But I'm so proud of his performance in this film. It's so understated. People are like, I didn't even recognize it was Eugenio for like a while.
I love that.
And I love that. I love that, we're seeing him in a different light because he's such a beautiful human being. So this shows like a lot of what his depth is. And also like comedians are the best dramatic actors.
The best. I mean, like the comedian lens. And I just think there's brilliance in Eugenio Derbez and like all comedians that have been putting in the work like that, and that they could really take any situation. Eugenio Derbez can just come out on a stage and his eyes can make you laugh. Like
yes.
The way he twitches his nose, or like just the muscles in his face and how movable they are.
And his eyes could now also make you cry. Like he tells the stories in his eyes. So that's really what I wanted to focus on. That was beautiful. Eva was incredible. I wrote the character with her in mind. Oh. She's just like, when she walked on set, I was like, oh, I get why you're a star. You're just like this force. And she's just like a dope human. And Lynn is exactly what you want him to be. You've experienced him, so you know. Um, then I was working with these two young boys who had never really had
Let's talk about Aristotle and Dante.
yeah, Max Pelayo and Reese Gonzalez. This is like their first big thing, which sucks that they can't be promoting it and sort of like living this moment with me. But they were these characters, and to me, my job was like, how do I nurture a relationship amongst the three of us, amongst them, where they felt safe, where they trusted me, and they were able to kind of explore their vulnerability on camera.
What about any intimacy coordinators?
We had an intimacy coordinator. She often would say, like, you could be to me, you could be an intimacy coordinator. Because I really was like, I went into this like mom and bear mode, and I wanted to keep those two boys as safe as possible and make sure that they were heard. And yeah, that they were heard more than anything. That if they ever felt uncomfortable, they had someone that they could come and talk to. But we had worked so hard to sort of like build this trust with each other that the intimacy coordinator was like, I don't think you need
You don't need me here.
But she was dope. Her name is Ann James, and she was like on set, and she was wonderful.
That is a great job.
Yeah, it's cool.
It just must be so beautiful. Imagine like being the cultivator of love on set.
I know.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is amazing. I would like to know, H, what do you want moviegoers to take away from this film? Because, you know, you mentioned something that the actors are not getting to live this moment, but I think this film is something that it will live on for a very, very, very long time.
So.
This is an education and enlightenment. And entertaining.
Yeah.
Triple E effect.
Yeah, it's really sweet, and it's like it feels like a warm hug.
What do you want the moviegoers to feel when they leave, to think, and maybe to act upon?
Well, another thing that I like wanted to make sure that we were doing was sort of like celebrate and find the joy in these characters, right? The like familial love, like how do we show joy in our community? You know, so that's what I really want people to sort of like recognize. But more than anything, I want it to be like the beginning of a conversation of how we talk about each other, how we talk or don't talk to each other, and the need of using our voice to tell people we love them and we see them. Sometimes we take that for granted and we think that they know. But as you see in the movie, I think the Aristotle character really needed to hear that. But his family was such a product of their own generational trauma that they didn't know how to do that. So I hope that this sort of people recognize themselves in it, not only like Latinos, but it's universal, right? So I hope that this just opens up a conversation when it comes to that specifically.
Oof, let that penetrate for a moment from the writer and director. So when everyone goes to see the film, they can think back to what you just said. Okay, speaking of thinking back, I would like to dial back, Aitch Alberto. Where did you go to school? What did you go to school for? Were you going to be something else? Like, how did you get here, Deborah Cox? How did we get here?
I didn't go to school. I'm self-taught.
Yes.
I've learned how to write scripts by watching movies and reading scripts at the same time.
Yes.
And I was always really obsessed. My dad was a cocaine cowboy from Miami. And we were on the run. He became a fugitive, and then we lived on the run for 8 years. Yeah.
This is real life, by the way. This is
real
not
life. This is
film
not
here.
a movie. Okay. Yeah. And so through that process, like I always found an escape in movies, and that's where my obsession started. Of like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what this means, but like this is speaking to me. Like I didn't play with toys or. So yeah, then I went on an acting path, and I thought that was it. Because if you don't see yourself, you don't think you could be it. And then I did that for a really long time. I did commercials in both Spanish and English.
Give us a fun commercial that maybe we could YouTube and find you in.
No, I did like
said no.
every fast food restaurant you could think of, every car you could think of.
Yes.
I was living in Miami where I'm from. And then I was still doing that till I found Ari and Dante. So in 2014, I had done like my last play in LA. And that's when I started shifting really like just behind the camera through the discovery of this book. I had done some short films, but yeah.
It sounds like you operate where there's a void. you surface.
Yeah.
Talk about this void in the market of
That's an
writing.
interesting way to see it.
Well, a parallel that I draw is 6 years ago and change, there was no real Latino comedy podcast that elevates other Latinos making strides. So I operate under where there's a void, there's me. I'm like, oh, there's a void in the space. It's going to be really hard. We're going to have to, buckle up and get our hands dirty. But I find a great challenge, a very healthy challenge in life when I'm in that situation. Because I feel like I'm going to move the needle as much as I want to because I can. I'm creating this. It sounds like you operate in a similar space where it's like, oh, there's an opportunity. We're not seeing enough trans, queer content in entertainment. We're not addressing these topics in the Latino space that are considered taboo.
Yeah.
And then it's like, go. And it's like, phew, and they're off. And there goes Aitch Alberto and she's running ahead of everybody. It's like a race, but it's like a healthy race. Is that how you...
I think it's a subconscious, like, sort of response to the void, right? But yeah, like, it's just like, I'm not going to wait for permission to sort of do what I think is necessary. So if it's completely instinctual and emotional, and that's worked for me to now, but I'm not like consciously thinking like, oh, there's this missing piece. I just like I respond to this. This is who I am. So I'm going to sort of try to be a vehicle to tell this story, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are some of the barriers that you have faced in this journey? Because what we like to do here too, LOLeros know this, is we talk about the triumphs. Yes, feels so good. But we also have to talk about the tribulations, those bumps in the road that we have faced, and maybe how you've combated them so that we could learn. When we face those bumps, it's like, well, Aitch Alberto said this on Latinos Out Loud, okay? So this is how I'm going to maneuver. So let us know about any barriers and how you defeated them.
I also haven't thought about the void thing. I think there's also like a void generationally, because a lot of our parents came here to like work really hard. They got like jobs. They didn't think that we could make money in like a creative space, at least from my experience. So there's not a lot of us that are before us that existed. There is, but like not the way it is now. And I think that's because we've sort of like allowed ourselves, given ourselves to permission to figure out that we do belong there and we can make money off like something creative. But that is part of the challenges. It's like there's not a lot of us, so people are unfamiliar with how to navigate that. This story alone, like it's I didn't want to make a movie about like gangbangers and maids but even through the process, like people who were working on this movie were like, we should make the dad disapproving. I'm like, no, we've seen that story so many times. Right. Like you could go make that movie with a different filmmaker, but I'm not going to perpetuate that story anymore. Like we've just like, it's exhausting to see that. So there's still a lot of that because there's a shift that's happening.
We need to ride that shift.
But that's because
we're
in the driver's seat.
Finally
creating our own space. And that's what it is. So it's all like working, but it's like it's at the beginning of something. We're not fully there yet. No. So, but yeah, it's exciting that we're like at the forefront of it.
Any instances, any specific like meetings you've been in or maybe see there's a rolling of the eyes, everyone. I just want to say I saw the pupils go from one side to the other. And maybe can you share with us something like where you learned and you got lifted and you rose above it maybe and
Yeah, this movie, like production was magical. Really was, because it was like we had created our own universe and it was like fully like this beautiful love-filled creative space. And then we went into post-production where the people that give you money have a voice in the room.
Ruh-roh.
And that was traumatizing and really painful.
Oi, as the Jews say.
Oi.
Yeah. Oi. So how did you deal with that on a day-to-day?
I'm still recovering. It took a minute. I didn't think I would want to do this anymore.
Like that?
Because it like took away the magic, the voice of an artist, but it happens across the board. It's not unique to me. When you start talking to each other about this specific thing, you realize that everybody has a version of it. Yeah. So yeah, it's hard. It's been really. I'm trying to like avoid the specifics to not like fully.
And meanwhile, I'm digging. I'm like, come on,
go
come on,
ham.
H, come on, come on.
I also want to be because I want to go nuclear so bad, and like
Okay,
I want to
I
tell the whole
respect it.
story. But I think I'm at the beginning of my career, and if people like if it comes out and you never know who's listening,
You're right.
It could ruin my career,
So
which is bullshit.
Let me try to wordsmith this question then to get something that I'm striving to get from you is like, how do we in the industry? I guess what I'm trying to get
It's
to
playing
is
the game. You
that's
have to.
it.
There's a
How
version
you
of
play
like
the game?
you have to play the game a little bit. But I mean, I'm from Miami. Like I was
Yeah.
raised by a fucking drug dealer.
Toma.
Like I wasn't gonna play the game that they wanted me to play. So I compromised a lot, but I didn't compromise on the things that were really important to me. Like I wasn't gonna do reshoots to tell a whole new story about a dad that doesn't approve of his kid. Yes. But okay, I'll cut that scene or I'll make the movie shorter. But like at least the heart of what I wanted to do was still there. So it was how do I compromise without not fully surrendering to the game?
That's
Not
what I'm
easy.
talking about.
Not fucking easy.
Not
at
easy.
all.
When you go to sleep at night and you're like, okay, there was the art of saying no. Like I had to say no 15 times today
it.
to people I respect in the industry that are funding my project. What's the art of saying no to you?
A necessity.
Yeah.
Of like really knowing what your boundaries are and what you're willing to give up and not. And I go to sleep at night and I still think about things that I could have fought a little harder. But I'm learning to let that go. I'm learning to be kinder to myself because I did everything that I could do.
Yes.
And like there's also the realization of that. But fuck.
It's beautiful, but I see that ... but fuck. Okay, my last question here, before you tell everybody your socials and catch the film here and everything. If you could talk to, you know what? No, scratch that. You're talking to a younger age right now because they're listening. They're in this pool of LOLeros, so you're talking to them right now. What are some words of advice that you have for a younger age, really starting out?
Shit.
Take your time.
Yeah. We have the option of choosing fear or love. I chose fear for a really long time. And in fear is shame. In fear is a lack of self-love. But if we try to choose love a little more adamantly, we start discovering things about ourselves that may be ugly, but then we start loving the ugly. Like the thing that we hate about ourselves often becomes our superpower.
I love that.
Because once I like accepted me fully and was fearless and chose love and walked through that, this entire world opened up to me in a way I never thought it would. Because I never thought I would be fearless enough to walk through it.
Aitch Alberto, thank you so much for those really amazing words based on, I could see in your eyes, experience, pain,
But
perseverance.
a lot of love.
I was gonna, yeah, like there's love on top of this Sunday.
Yeah.
I could see. Move over, cherry.
I look like a cherry today.
You do. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. You look like a delicious maraschino cherry.
Yeah.
So tell everyone where they can follow you and please plug the film like a Glade plug-in right now.
Yes, the film is out in theaters today. When does this air?
This is gonna air next week, right?
Yeah, so
a week after? Yeah.
Next week it'll still be in theaters in across the country. I think it's like 1,000 theaters. Yes. So it'll likely be somewhere near. And I think it's like I made a movie to watch in theaters, so I hope people go to the theaters to watch it.
Oh, I love the theatrical experience. Don't you, LOLeros?
I miss it.
I really take advantage of it whenever I get the opportunity because there is really nothing like it. I mean, this is just common knowledge. You can Netflix and chill all you want, right? But there's nothing like the smell of the buttered popcorn.
You sound like that, Nicole Kidman.
Oh my gosh. There's nothing like being next to other people.
It's true.
And laughing in unison or gasping in unison. There's something about that chilling behavior. I just have this really nerdy part of me that loves society and our behavior. I am a people person in every sense of the term. So going to the movies for me is one of those activities. It's like we're all experiencing this together at the same time, at the same decibel level, and we're focused on it.
I love that.
So thank you for giving us that gift.
Thank you.
Check out Aristotle and Dante Discover Secrets of the Universe in theaters as of today. Congratulations, Aitch Alberto. I love you. Is it too soon?
Never.
Okay, I love you.
Besito. Thank you. Thank you. This was fun.
Eloeleros, thank you so much. This has been another episode. Be sure to follow us at We Are Latinos Out Loud. Give us a call. No big whoop. The phone number is 978 Latinos. It's very easy. Happy Latinx AEIXYZ Heritage Month, however you would like to call yourself. To everybody out there who's a part of this culture, an ally of the culture, let's celebrate. Ay, party! Okay? Thank you so much for listening and watching another episode. Shout out to the This Network and everybody here, Caba and Juan, and to Aitch Alberto. Shout out to Inma, who continuously looks out for this podcast and is a dear friend. Thank you so much, everybody. On that note, we out.